Hello and welcome to Equine Voices podcast. My name is Ronnie, an intuitive equine communicator. I hope you enjoy this episode and thank you for listening. This little short podcast is called a reflection. Because that's what I'm doing. I'm reflecting on the last few days, or the last few weeks actually. And it's really hot. It's been a really hot day. We're in a heat wave. And there's not much of a breeze. In fact, there's no breeze now, not at the minute. And it's evening, early evening. And I'm sat outside looking at the clouds, which is so pretty, and listening to the sounds of nature. I can hear the birds in the trees. I can hear the flies. I can really hear the flies, but they're just going about their daily business, which is what they do, however annoying they may be. But reflecting on work, on what I've been doing the last few weeks, about the communication and the types of communication that comes through, in different ways, different types of communication. So when I see a client, I never know what to expect. But depending on what the client relays to me, I sometimes have a pre-thoughts of what it might be. And I try not to hold on to that, because sometimes you get there and you think, oh, it's not that at all. But it's quite funny, because when I get in my car and I put the radio on, the music often dictates what I'll be presented with, which probably sounds a bit bizarre, but it's not to me, because that's my my reminder not to listen to what my head tells me. And I always get a feeling if it's, so a client might think it's one thing, and the way they give you the information, and I never ask for too much anyway, but the gist of the conversation, the text, sort of highlights it in one way, one perspective. But when I listen to the music, and when I'm on my journey there, I have this feeling, and the feeling doesn't always match that. So I think, okay. So I tend to try and not think about that, and just wait till I get there. So where am I going with this conversation? For communicator, I'm just sharing a few thoughts, actually, just a few moments of thoughts, reflection. Never ceases to amaze me, never, that what's divulged. And sometimes it's not what the client thinks is going to be talked about, which I explain, it's whatever the horse wants to talk about. And even if there's physical issues going on and the owner wants to know certain things, if the horse is not aware of it or doesn't know the outcome, then they don't relay that to me. Now, information comes from other sources sometimes, if it's meant to. And again, I have to let go of that, if it's meant to. And we don't always get the answers that we're hoping for or we're looking for, but we do get answers. But I know that what comes through is right for that person, because it wouldn't come in that manner. The conversation is presented in a certain way to each client, because that is what they're ready to hear. And sometimes I have to explain it in a certain way, so they can acknowledge and understand that. And by that, I don't mean that they're not getting it. It's so they can see where this conversation is coming from and going to. If that makes sense. If it doesn't, that's fine. I'm just sharing a few moments, but it can be vast. It can be a little conversation, and then the rest of it comes from other sources, or it can be very profound. And Yeah. And sometimes they're as profound as they are at the time, that horse is still a horse. And that horse will react as a horse and do what it needs to do as a horse. But yeah, it's so my clients are aware because I'm explaining this as I go along, and as it comes through, I'm giving an explanation as to why it's coming in this manner. But I'm just sharing this because I still find it fascinating. I still find sometimes the depth of what comes through. And even though it's for the client, I sometimes, it could be to everybody, because what they're saying is important on a human level. That's my horse come out too. So keep clopping. So they're not just speaking from a horse and a horse perspective. They're speaking as a being that understands what's going on with people and the world. That's what I'm trying to share with you. Sometimes these messages might seem just a few words, but the feeling with it is quite profound at times. And that doesn't mean that a message you get from another horse that's not that way is less important. They are all important. But I think it's to get the human to reflect and look at things differently in all aspects and all areas of their life. And I find that, I just love that. For myself included, I learned so much through doing the communication about me and the universe. Although I'm working with horses and people, it's far, far beyond that. Far beyond that at times. And each communication adds to the pot. Each one is as special and as important as the next one, in my eyes. And I just wanted to share that. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that because it is important. And I can't really explain how it affects afterwards, the energy transfer, because that's what it is. When you're communicating with another human, another being, another species, it's a transfer of energy. And you absorb what that communication is, even if you don't understand what it means. So they could be speaking French. It doesn't matter. The vibration of that communication that is flowing from the animal via another being or whatever to the human and vice versa. It's that flow that you absorb, and you don't always know what it is you're absorbing. You're thinking, what is she talking about? I know what I'm talking about. Just so I'm just sharing a perspective of a few days. It puts you in a bit of a heightened awareness sometimes. And it's like, I've been doing last few days, quite a few. So it's a collective energy that I'm absorbed, and it's almost like, okay. So I'm not talking about I'm sat here and I'm an extraterrestrial person and this is what's coming through me. This can be happening to lots of people when you're around animals, when you're around people. That the energy that the animals have is uninhibited. The true essence of them is uninhibited, undiluted, and it's hard to put into words. So there you go. That's just a few of my reflective thoughts that I thought I'd share. Anyway, I'm going to finish there and head off home soon. I'm just actually enjoying just being in this moment. So have a lovely day, a lovely evening, wherever you are in the world. Take care for now. Bye.